Made me kind of feel like we maybe kind of sort of almost know what we're talking about sometimes.
Sometimes we 60% of the time it works every time.
Exactly. Exactly. Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I review Georgia's 31-13 homecoming win over Auburn. We talk about our experiences on Saturday and what stood out to us during the game. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at mygodapodcast. Finally, if you need help with your website or your online presence, head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Okay, so I think this one actually was how we expected, at least final score wise.
We arrived there eventually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna hit that right off the bat. I had 35-10. You had 38-16. 31-13 final actual score. That's pretty good. Made me kind of feel like we maybe kind of sort of almost know what we're talking about sometimes.
Sometimes we 60% of the time it works every time.
Exactly. Exactly. So
I mean,
ah
I will say, like, obviously I was not immune to this either. We had a collective like text message group chat, like however, whatever Twitter group chat, like all the things like was going on. I feel like that everyone and their brother, including myself, was in the same boat as they watched that game,
mhm.
which was, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with our team? And I was in that boat too. And then as we arrived in the fourth quarter, I think I messaged one of them. I'm ashamed of myself, um, because because at the end of the day, all the and moaning, sorry, Carter, that happened in the first quarter and second quarter, we still beat the pants off of an SEC, off of Auburn, like
Yeah.
Auburn. I realize they're not Auburn, but they're Auburn.
Well,
They're
uh,
not your daddy's Auburn. Let's just put it that way.
they're not younger us Auburn. You know?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, the world that we live in is so crazy. Like I still like I mean just think about when we were in school. Like this was like one of the games. Like this was huge game. But now we're at the point where A was homecoming, B I have a freshman in college. She wasn't born the last time they beat us in Athens. Like what in the world? Like it's just so it's so crazy what where this series has gone. I mean, I remember when we were in college, like the rival, like the all-time series was A, that was neck and neck. B, there was only like there was some crazy stat where there was like 20 points separating the two schools all time and points scored against each other all time, something like that back in the early 2000s. It's really taken a turn. I mean, for the better, obviously. Like I'm not complaining, but like it's just it's kind of surreal.
Yeah. It's definitely surreal, like what the Kirby Smart, Mark Richt years have done to a lot of the rivalries, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
Rick got over the hump, couldn't get past the Florida situation, Florida situation.
right.
Um, Kirby Smart has blown through that ceiling and kept on rolling.
Yeah,
So, like literally, the only team that we are struggling with is Alabama, and it is what it is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
fortunately, we don't play them every single year. So I think that if I had to pick anybody to struggle with, I would struggle with the best team in the last college football history, like whatever, however you want to describe it, recent modern college football history, the
sure, yeah,
whatever, greatest coach ever. And like for us to struggle against that team, okay, cool. That's fine.
right.
But this game has become not that big of a deal. And so, yeah, it is what it is. I think that we didn't drop below what 80% win probability on the ESPN Gamecast,
Yeah,
which looking back on it, I'm like, that's crazy. Um, because it definitely didn't feel like that when you were watching it live.
I never felt any kind of. I mean, I guess at what
It
14
was
to
93% win probability in the first quarter.
yeah, that is kind of
Like,
crazy. Well, there just weren't a lot of possessions. We're in a ton of possessions. It's kind of the world we live in now, and yeah, I mean, when it was 14-10, I guess, but I don't know. I will say like my kind of end of the day thing. Like I looked at my dad when the game ended, and I was like, I mean, we just beat Auburn 31-13. And we didn't like they didn't even turn the ball over because like that's been their thing. Like the reason Auburn has been losing is because they've been turning the ball over so much, and so you kind of
mhm.
wonder what would an Auburn team look like if they were able to protect the football, and they did protect the football against us, but we still beat them by that margin, which I thought. I mean, sure, I would have rather had turnovers and extended even more, but I thought that kind of showed how soundly we were without any turnover luck.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, yeah.
So
Uh, I think that this says more about just the overall team that we have than it does the offense, if that makes sense. Which I feel like
sure.
that's probably the elephant in the room, for lack of a better description, that I just realized is quite ironic. But um, the elephant in the room is the offense, right? And I remember texting Josh, Dog Stats, like, what's our success rate right now? Because
Mm.
it felt like we weren't doing that great, but it also felt like we were. And he's like, success rate is fantastic. I mean, it's not the success rate, it's the efficiency. Um, which like that's talk about like the all time splitting hairs situation because like that's what it felt like. It felt like we were having success, but like it just didn't feel all that fantastic about it. I didn't feel all that fantastic about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. There wasn't much the like explosive that was happening, I guess. So,
Right.
um, let me back up really quickly. I did want to kind of shout out the pregame like a homecoming kind of festivities for the weekend. It was a it was definitely hot in Athens, especially in the stadium. But like it was a beautiful kind of Chamber of Commerce day, I guess you would say. Um, so yeah, so Kim and Lily and I came in Friday night. Shout out Lou and Ponda, for Rip Dog and Mom. Stayed with them for the weekend. So came into that, hit up campus. We had a Tate deck pass for this game. My dad
What?
got one. Yeah, so this was pretty sweet. So we came in, we dropped my parents off at Morris Hall, then we parked at Tate. We walked over and hung out with Kelly and Jason, our friends. They tailgate like right by Jason. So we went over. Well, sorry, Kelly's husband is Jason, but then I also met Jason Huggins. So this was the first time we've been able to go to Kelly and Jason's actual tailgate. We'd met them some other spots, but so hung out with them for a bit. Then I was like, wait a minute, we're right by Hug Dog. So I walked over, found Huggins, talked to him for a bit, saw Joel, and then he was like, "Hey, Robert Wolf tailgate's right next to us, and he said to bring you by if you're here." So shout out Robert. Went and saw Robert. Had not seen him in years in person. Yeah, and then we walked back up to Morris Hall. Hug Dog came with us. We went to Morris Hall, hung there. Got to meet Coach Hayes up there. That was really cool. And then Coach Trillbill and friend of the show Tim Riley got to meet each other. Apparently they had never met, so that was sweet.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody and their brother was there, so it was a major FOMO day for me as well.
Hopefully I did justice sending you pictures. At one point I was like, oh wait, I was supposed to be saying John pictures, so I sent a few.
Yes. I think you did. I think you did a good job. You can never send enough pictures when you're trying to live vicariously through others, but
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
I got enough from you and seeing everybody else posting, but I was like, Jesus, everyone was there.
It was a good
It
time.
was it was a true homecoming.
It was. It was. Yeah. Then we went back down and went by Hug Dogs again on the way in because I told them I'd bring my parents by. Which I will say, also, I got to meet Garrett Huggins. I had never met her before.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we had met. So
Okay.
she agreed with me. So that was pretty funny. She was talking to Hampton. I went up and talked with him for a little bit. So it was a good time. Good times.
All good people, all the good people.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, always Morris Hall crew, rodeo, Greg, shout out. Amazing, fantastic event as always. So they know what they're doing. They do it right.
Indeed.
Okay. Sorry. I had to back up to
Yeah, no, I mean
that.
that's the best part, in my opinion.
It was
Games
pretty,
are fun. Anytime we
yeah.
get to
Right. And then this was actually cool too, because I gave Lily like, okay, well, how do you want to enter the game? Like what path do you want to take? Because we were down there by kind of like the Tate entrance. I was like, do you want to like go up, walk up the stairs and everything outside of the stadium and just kind of go direct, or do you want to like walk into the tunnel, field level, walk along the hedges? And she was like, oh, I want to walk along the hedges. Like, come on, like what kind of choice is that, Dad? So we went in there, walked in under the bridge, basically under the stadium, came out there, and then walked along all the hedges. And Lillian, Kim, and I took a selfie. Ran into the Riley family again. We kept running into them on the way in the stadium. It was kind of funny. But yeah, and then just walked up through the student section, and then all the way up. So I feel like we got the full experience, the full Sanford experience. It was good.
so you entered on the band side
We
of the stadium?
entered on like basically right next to where the team runs out, like on the open end side. We walked in there, and then we
Yes.
walked along the hedges. Yeah. And
Along
then
the
like basically right before we get to the band, we walked up the stadium stairs. Yeah.
okay. So is that a better attack route to get to where you guys sit? Because
Mm,
we went in on the other side of the hedges last time, and I felt like it was a planes, trains, and automobiles situation to try to get up to the seats.
oh, so you went like on the right side of the field, looking at the field from there.
Yeah.
Okay, got it, got it. Yeah, well, you know what? I actually have never done that. I always go left. So probably, I guess. The only thing is like when you get up to the top of the lower bowl, like it's a little tighter there in that concourse, just to
Mhm.
get through there. So you deal with a little bit of traffic there, just because like right by the student section, there's probably a better aisle to go up than what we picked.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fairly straight shot from there.
Interesting. I'll have to try that out next time. Yeah, I mean, that's usually our attack pattern as well, is to walk in lower level and walk up because I mean, how many times? There's only so many times you get to walk past the edges. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Lily got some good field level pics for her Instagram story.
yeah,
She's pretty excited.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's great. It's great. It's great photo taking opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I also like last time we went, I enjoyed walking in. So on that side, the side that we went in, opposite of the band, we actually got to be right underneath the lone trumpeter,
Oh, okay.
um, for all that. And so that was a unique experience. I had never been down on the field level for that experience before. Usually we're in the stands by that point. So
Gotcha.
it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been down there for that. I've
Yeah.
so yeah, that'd be cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, got up to our seats. You know, talked to all the folks that we sit around, and uh, then we had friend of the show, the good lad, led the cheer, led the pregame, calling the dogs. So that was good.
He was a good lad. He was a good
Yeah.
lad. I didn't see that on the broadcast, obviously. How did he do?
He did a good job, because like not everyone can get the timing down, and they kind of throw the fans off with the when they hit the dogs and the go dogs. He did a good job. He had a nice the go was long enough. It was good. So
Yeah.
not everyone can successfully pull that off. Sometimes people it's a bit of a struggle. So, but dude, there were a ton of NFL guys there. I guess just the way the bye weeks fell. Um, like
Well,
all the Eagles guys were there.
yeah, I was about to say, you basically have to have only a couple of teams like have
True,
bye weeks.
true. Yeah, when the Eagles are off, it's like, oh, there's everyone. So,
Yeah,
shocking. Jordan Davis got like the biggest cheer of anyone when they announced them all at some point. So,
it's got to be a true like homecoming experience to come back as a national champion.
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Seriously. So
Get a
yeah.
taste of what get a taste of what it's like coming back for Herschel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I know. Yeah. I mean, we would always go crazy for him, even though we were like, babies. So,
Exactly.
okay.
Oh man, it looked like it was a fun day.
Yeah, it was. It was a good day.
But so I mean, frankly, like I'm sure that for a swath of the SEC fan base, they probably forgot that Georgia even had a game this past Saturday.
I
There
know.
was just nothing but absolute chaos ensued after our game.
Yeah. Yeah. We were like the boring, like, oh, Georgia didn't cover this spread. Oh, yeah, whatever. It's like, everything else. Yeah, it was absolutely haywire. So, yeah, which I'm fine with.
I'm fine with that too. So let's talk about the game, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. We can get back to the game. I think you were starting to get into kind of the offense a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that the biggest issue is right now is just the continuation of this team that has these quote unquote slow starts.
Hmm.
Um, I guess I don't know. I don't know what we're looking for when we're basically putting up enough points to win the game in the first half, but like it just feels like that. And I've started to feel that tug too, that the offense is just I think I texted everybody the offense ain't it. Um, which is crazy to think about in a 31-13 game. But yeah, I mean it feels like these teams that we play, and unfortunately Auburn is in that category right now. They're 0-3 in the conference. Um, but at some point it's just like we should be motoring, like the game should be over by halftime, not that we start playing at halftime.
the the graphics. So I mentioned to you like I did rewatch most of this game. The graphics that were thrown up on like the graphics package on I almost said ESPN, I guess ABC, were pretty wild. Like on like how few points we had scored against FBS teams in like the first half, and then the first half, the first quarter. I didn't write them down or anything, but it was super low. Like it was like the I mean actually that so the we scored the first time we got the ball, we scored a touchdown. That was our first quarter touchdown against an FBS team all year. So, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, so now to your point, like what constitutes a fast start? So we did first time we touched the ball, we scored. So we had a touchdown drive on our first possession. So that's good.
Mhm.
But then we didn't have another then we didn't score again until the last drive of the first half. So we hit a bit of a lull, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I, I think that's maybe it is that situation where we should just have a scoring percentage of you know our our series, right? Like every time
Yeah.
we touch the ball, we're expecting to score points, basically, whether it be touchdowns or field goals.
Okay, right. Right, right. Yeah, we're definitely not doing that. I mean, Brett Thorson's having to actually punt the ball. Like, what's going on here?
Like I need Carson Beck to hate punters a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had a workout. He punted three whole times in this game. I mean, again, they're like the whole possessions thing. So I'm looking back up at the drive chart, and we only had 4 drives in the first half. I mean, the game is just changing with this whole like with the number of possessions. So we went
It really is.
touchdown, punt, touchdown, and then that's it. Then halftime. So we scored on 50% of our drives. Um, but yeah, and those 2 punt drives were what 6 plays, 22 yards, with over 3 minutes of holding the ball and then a punt. The other one was a frustrating 11 plays, 37 yards, 5 minutes and 43 seconds of clock and punted. That's kind of a crazy drive. I need to go back and look at that one
Was
again.
that the one that we had penalties on? Where
That
we ended up at like first and 30 or something like that.
I think that was the last drive of the game, wasn't it? Wasn't the field? I think that was on the field goal drive.
I don't remember, but I just remember one of the drives where we were I think Josh was like first and
It was for
28 is ridiculous.
it was, yeah, it was first and 40, wasn't
First
it?
and 40. Yeah, something like that. It was something stupid. It was something stupid.
Yeah, we had like a shot block and a personal foul after the play. So 30 yards penalty is not good.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fairly even game statistically. Auburn had 337 total yards. Georgia had 381 total yards. We had 21 first downs and they had 18 first downs.
Yeah, and I know we're sitting here saying they didn't have turnovers, but we did block a field goal, and
We did.
there was a turnover in downs where we got to Thorne on that 4th and 1. So
Mhm.
I guess there kind of was.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, Carson Beck was 23 of 29. Um,
Yeah.
Dude, I will say, like, this is for sure how I felt while I was watching the game. It was like, geez, the Georgia versus Auburn game brought to you by Trevor Etienne.
Yeah.
Like he had his numbers don't speak like that he had like a insane day, like 16 carries, 88 yards, and two touchdowns. But like I felt like he was an impact player all over the field. Like he was an impact in the passing game and he was an impact on the running game.
Yeah, I agree. And that's that. I feel like we had been, or I had been at least like kind of waiting to see him break out in the passing game, and I feel like this was his best game there. Just catching the ball, securing it, and
Mhm.
then he made people miss. So, I mean, he was so close to breaking long, like home run touchdown runs, like twice. I think they got him like by a shoestring. So, um, could have been even a lot more if he gets by the like one more guy.
Yeah, you're definitely waiting for him to bust one. He's been within a whisker. I think I was joking with the guys, like, I feel like our running backs, we've got some folks that just can't seem to get downhill and hit the hole. Um, I think that Branson's struggling in that regard. Um,
Yeah,
he had eight carries for 14 yards. I don't know if he's not 100%. We finally got Dylan Bell in the run game, which you and I had kind of talked about. Like that,
yeah,
why don't we have Dylan Bell? We finally got Nate Frazier some carries, which we've been looking for since the Clemson game.
yeah.
7 carries for 38 yards for him. Um, you and I have been looking for London Humphreys, who was, I think he was on the injury report as being out, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I haven't heard anybody give me like an explanation on what happened with London Humphreys, but it was so great to see him in. I mean, by that point, the game was over when he came in, frankly.
Yeah,
But as soon as he got there, he instantly instantly made an impact because he finished with 40 yards, which was good for second on the team. Um, you got London Humphreys involved, Colby Young got involved. So I
dude,
think that Lawson Lucky I mean, he only had one catch, but I think we targeted him a handful of times.
we did. It felt like he had more than one. I guess that one was just so awesome that it felt like more. I don't know.
Right, right. You're just like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, there was a play where he was open for a touchdown, but our offensive line couldn't hold up on like a 3-man rush, and somebody got to Beck. Um, should have been he should have had a touchdown catch.
That's probably a good segue. So let's cap the offensive side. So, in the game, I think that there are signs that the offense is starting to figure itself out, like
Hmm.
in terms of just the right personnel being on the field. And
Yeah,
if you've got the right personnel on the field, eventually the play calls are going to be there, right?
right.
Um, Offensive line for sure, I think is still a little sus at times. I do think that we had some, you know, self-inflicted wounds in terms of like penalties and stuff like that, whether it be an untimely holding call on a big play, which ends up being a big penalty.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean Carson Beck threw he was almost 80%. 80% completion percentage.
Yeah.
And that included what I thought was a couple of drops that were sprinkled in there. And he
Yeah.
had one pass play where he got kind of called out by the officiating crew for like, I don't know what happened on that throw. Like this is not what we're expecting from Carson. He was getting lambasted by what's his face, McElroy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then you go back and look at the all 22 view, and it's because the ref was in the way.
Shout out Coach Hayes. That was an amazing breakdown.
Coach Hayes, yes. I felt so much better. I felt so much better because I remember thinking exactly what the announcers were because I was like, I don't have any other way to
We
look at this.
we were dumbfounded
It
in
looked
the
terrible.
yeah, in the stands. We could not. We were like, what was that? Yeah, we had basically had the same
Which which
reaction.
which I guess like it's kind of like baseball, right? Like when you're stealing third, when you're stealing third and the catcher jumps up to throw the ball and you try to like the catcher just avoids the right-handed batter
Hmm.
and it messes up the flow of your throw. Like then coaches will scream at the catcher like put it through his ear hole. He'll move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
put it through the ref's face. Eventually he'll move.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that situation. I think that Carson could have done better with that, but the ref was in the way. Um,
Yeah.
otherwise it's a big game. Um, yeah, I mean, and I think he had some drops too. There were some drops sprinkled in on that 80%. Didn't feel like we needed a whole lot for this game, but I thought they did okay. That's why I was asking Josh, like the biggest thing that I wanted to know was the offense in in a good spot from a success rate. And
Yeah.
he was like, yes, like success rate wise, we're fine. And so for me, like that showed progress in my opinion. But I'm looking for them to just those big pass plays, which it feels like that they are taking those shots down the field from an offense standpoint. I do think that it's great that Nate Frazier is back in the game. I think Big George was like kind of questioning that during the game. Like, is it a discipline issue? Is it a injury issue? I was glad to see that it wasn't an injury issue at least. But maybe there is a disciplinary issue that's not been publicized or talked about. But
Yeah.
I,
They said on the
it is.
broadcast that it was blocking. Like,
I mean, yeah, I guess that you could make that excuse. I'm sure that if you were to ask Kirby Smart that directly, he
yeah.
probably would give you some answers like that. But at the same time, like every time this Joker's been in the game, he's made a positive impact. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I know. I know.
I don't buy that. I don't buy the blocking situation. I think that I think that there's an unspoken this is what's going on. I think there's an unspoken discipline issue. Like he didn't make grades, he didn't show up for something. I don't know. Something didn't happen. Because it's puzzling to see a player like that that very clearly has an impact on the game when he jumps in. I guess the only person that's missing from what we were looking for is the enigma that is Anthony Evans. Or no,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
That I will say also another Coach Hayes shout out because I watched his film breakdown earlier
Uh-huh.
tonight. He basically said that the issue with him is also blocking. So it was on the he broke down the or one of the plays he broke down was the the running play to Dylan Bill that you mentioned earlier, the reverse.
Mhm.
And his point was basically like if Anthony Evans held onto his block, then Bill probably scores. As it was, it was the first down, it was like 15 or 18-yard run, or something like that. But the guy that got him was the guy that um, Anthony Evans was responsible for. So
Mhm.
that's another like very Kirby thing. I mean, he's all about the blocking and the receipt. Not it's not just the line and the backs and the tight ends, is the receivers too. So they have to block a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my retort, my devil's advocate on that position. So there was one play where we had a stack set out wide. It was 3-on-3. I think that Coach Hayes broke this play down. Um, and it was a Colby Young pass, and we had Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky out there blocking.
Hmm.
And we put Colby Young in a position where he had to basically he got manned up with someone out there, and you're expecting the wide receiver to make a play.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, great. But like if we are running these plays where we've got Delp and Lucky out there, maybe that's some of what the telegraphing of what we're doing with the personnel standpoint on what we're going to do. So like if Anthony Evans is in the game, statistically speaking, like our offense has showcased that when Evans is in the game, um, he's not we're not running the ball or something like that. You know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
certain players are not doing things that we know that they're not going to do, like then we're telegraphing to the defense. So the only counter to that is to like get them game time, particularly in a game where um we're winning it pretty handedly by the end. Um
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking for them to like get past. Can we look past the he can't hold on to the block long enough and
I feel like
let's
they can't because of what you just said. Because it's like if they don't trust him to block, and then they're only going to throw run pass plays. Although this game, I feel like they did what you just said. They ran this reverse, and he didn't hold on his block. Now, granted, it was a positive play, but still,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than
yeah,
like when they're in the games, it seems like that good things happen and
yeah.
they need to be targeted more. Like I don't know. There's no other way to no other way to shake it. I mean, Arian Smith had one catch in the game. Like he's been the leading receiver all season long.
Yeah. Yeah. He had more targets than that, but yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I guess that's probably what I want to ask you about the defense. Like what because I feel like I actually felt better about the defense in the game than I did watching on TV. And probably part of it is because I was in the concession line and missed their only touchdown. Um, so I didn't see that until today. I mean, really, it's just like like how concerned should we be about the tackling? Because like that's basically that's it for me. Like at this point, like I feel like the coverage is pretty good. I feel like we're getting decent pressure still. I feel like we did a much better job setting the edge this drive. Although the one touchdown drive, like we started letting Thorne get loose and running a bit. Um, but I mean, we what TID had 2 sacks, sack in the first play of the game. So we had some good big plays, but like I mean, the touchdown run is a perfect example. I mean, we had him and could have tackled him for maybe I don't know 5 8 yard gain, something like that, and then he breaks a tackle and he's gone. So I don't know. I don't that's my concern at this point with the defense.
Yeah, the tackles are for sure. The tackling are for sure. That's our issue right now.
Yeah,
Um, uh, I felt like we got home pretty consistently.
yeah,
Um, we got sacks. There was the only thing that I'm curious about, and the X's and O's guys. I feel like that they put up a graphic. The social team put up a graphic that was like talking about all of the youth that was on the team. I'm trying to like scroll through and find it while I'm talking through this, but like there was a graphic that was put up, and I thought about this during the game. Like it seemed like we have a lot of youth on the defensive side. Like there's a lot of sophomores that make up the defense. Because I remember this graphic that they put together where they were like talking about all of the youth that was on the team. And as you read through the people that are in the graphic, it's like all of the main players on defense. Like a lot of the main players are on defense are like sophomores. So
yeah.
maybe there's some youth components there, like, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like even Malachi Starks, Mr. Senior is senior leader is struggling.
Yeah, I was some of that with my dad too. I was like, what, like, kind of what's going on there? I mean, he's playing a different position than he's been. I mean, they're moving him all around. He's been playing a lot of star instead of like just kind of being able to freelance at safety like he's used to be doing, the last couple of years. But I mean, want to say we're
I thought
primarily
that I thought he was looking better at star versus when they asked him to do safety. Like
okay. Yeah,
I thought the working theory was that KJ Bolden has looked better at safety than Malachi Starks has, and that Malachi Starks excels more so when he's at the star position.
maybe, but I don't know. That's kind of where he's been, right?
I feel like that he's crashing down like the situations where he's missing tackles. I feel like I'm not an X's and O's guy, but like I feel like when he's coming down as a safety is where he's missing these tackles in the open field, where, the safety's got to make a play on these guys. I feel like
Yeah,
I know that for sure was like what I was seeing in some of the other games. Nothing necessarily stuck out, but like I mean, I think he did miss a tackle in this game, but like I feel like it's when he's at safety. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that in one of the chats that we were in, I thought that someone was kind of agreeing that that was the situation that they were seeing as well.
gotcha. Could be. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and their offense did like you were saying. I mean, they put up, I don't know, I guess decent numbers. I mean, Thorne had what 200 yards passing, but no touchdown passes. And then Jarquez Hunter, I mean, he looked pretty good. 13 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. With that long of 38, the 38-yard touchdown. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Leading receiver had 7 catches for 95 yards. Lambert Smith. So, but again, I mean,
Yeah.
they got 13 points out of it when we were scoring 31. So like, I don't want to be like overly critical and complaining. And like, we got to Thorne, we sacked him multiple times, stopped him on 4th and 1. So that was good. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just like,
The other thing that is not Smile's been out.
that's true. Smile is out.
Yeah, he was out. I mean, you can't really discount that because
Yeah.
you're talking about all SEC caliber player. Um, Christian Miller went down. Yeah, I saw that. And even like after the game, there was some folks that were walking off the field that looked like that they were struggling at the end too. We're definitely at that part of the season where no one's 100%, right? It
Right.
feels that
Right.
at least it feels that way.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
So
Smile being I don't think he was in pads during the game, right?
no, yeah, no, he was out. Like he was totally out.
Yeah. But he didn't even like dress.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like London Humphreys was out, but very clearly was dressed.
He had to have been removed from the injury report at some point, but he was definitely on the initial one. I don't know what the deal is with
Right, right.
that. Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the defense is struggling, but then on the flip side of that, like you you talk about, and I guess if you're a fan, you're thinking back to the Stetson days, right, where we're just like r running up and down the field. Well,
Yeah.
when we're running up and down the field, we have this all-world defense that is like shutting everybody down, like historic defense. So like maybe things looked a lot better that way because they were shutting down so many drives. And maybe that might be the case if the defense is able to um, stop somebody. So and it's not to say that we haven't, but like maybe the coaching staff is just not as confident with the defense. And they're uh, strategically trying to limit possessions in the game, which makes things look not as pretty on the offensive side. Maybe that's the angle. I'd like to think that Kirby Smart's probably not playing that game,
Yeah.
but maybe he is playing in the NFL style timing, like you talked about, like where the game is incredibly short, which it felt short. Like it felt like that we just didn't have that many opportunities. So if you're not stopping them on defense, the best way to not allow them to score is to not let them get the ball.
Yeah. It's weird in that it's like it feels shorter, but also longer. Like we need to do some analysis on like commercials and stuff, and like like elapsed time versus time played in the game. Because I have
Right.
this, and this is just like a sense of things. I don't. I This could be way off base, but it feels like the games are longer, but they're shorter. If that makes sense. Like it feels like less
Mhm.
plays are happening, but the game is still not any shorter, like elapsed time on
That
TV.
track that tracks with probably what they want.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like shrinkflation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get less football, but you have to pay more for it in time.
Yeah. So I don't know. We need a statistician to look at some of that stuff, but I don't know. Part of me wonders if I'm just like being overly picky and like comparing this defense, like you're saying, like this isn't the 2021 defense, and like that's okay.
No.
Like not that we're probably we'll never see that again, but I mean we may never see that again, and certainly may not see that again for a long time. Um, so they're not them, still good. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, like we said, it was 31-13 against Auburn. Like can't complain too much.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I mean, you look at that, and so I don't know if were there any other caveats that you wanted to, or any other topics that you wanted to cover from the game? I'm trying to think
Um,
if there was any
I
I
was
wanted to
gonna
cover.
say,
Could be a good caveat to talk about some other stuff that's somewhat tacitly connected.
I'll say like quickly, special teams. We already mentioned earlier the block kick, so that was pretty cool. Also, that was Dan Jackson. I will say Dan Jackson continues to have. I mean, he was like the leading tackler again, and blocked a field goal. So he now has a blocked punt and field goal in his career. So Dirty Dan, still doing good stuff there. Um, and then the I did ESPN. Sorry, I keep saying ESPN. I don't remember if it was McElroy who pointed out, but they did call out our new version of the stat that while we did give up a punt return, that we are
Yeah,
allowing negative return yardage for
that's
the
right. That's
season.
right.
So they picked up on it. So I did like that.
That's I thought that his characterization of that was like they did attempt a punt return,
Yeah,
but it was for negative yards.
yeah. So that was good. And then no punt returns in this game. So it's just that one. Only because Ryan Williams. I don't know if you know this, but he's 17. So I feel like he made a bad decision as a 17-year-old to return a punt for -4 yards. So can't blame Dorson for that.
I feel like that was communicated to them to wreck Thorson's no hitter.
Could have been, and maybe that's just proof of that Alabama's focusing on the wrong things, and that's why they lost to Vanderbilt. I'm just saying.
That could be a good caveat. So put yourself in like Tennessee's shoes or Alabama's shoes this
Mm,
past weekend.
yeah,
Um, our offense struggled, quote unquote, with these other teams, but like Tennessee is used to scoring like a billion points against all these like
yeah.
teams thus far, and all I've heard is how amazing their offense is. I was actually talking about that with a buddy of mine. It's like, man, we got Tennessee coming up. It's gonna be tough. I'm like, I mean, is it? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Kirby Smart's figured out Josh Heupel's offense, but like, you hear about this offense, but like I haven't been hearing about any of the wide receivers. Like, it's not at all like Jalen Hyatt or whatever. Like
Right.
when we played them when they were ranked number one for a half a second.
Yeah.
But like I hear all I hear about is Nico Lamavella or whatever. How I'm sure we'll get to the pronunciation on that week, but
Yeah.
um, I butcher his name every time. But all I hear about is the quarterback, and all I saw was the quarterback completely fumble a game-ending sequence, and they only scored 14 points. So like, would you rather be Tennessee like blowing teams out of the water, and then all of a sudden like,
Mm,
what the heck is going on?
right.
Um, or would you rather be a team that's on the upswing? Like, and that's kind of where I feel like that we're going here. And it seems like it's trending in that direction where we're just going to hit our stride right when we need to. Kind of like, you, the baseball teams, put it in baseball terms, you get hot at the end of the season,
Yeah.
right before the playoffs start.
Right. Which is a
So
thing now in college football. Right.
Yeah, or the team that gets hot at the end of college basketball, right? Like, and they get
Hmm.
hot right before the tournament and carry that into the playoffs.
Right. Right.
Um, that is the reality that we're in college football right now. None of this matters. Sorry, Josh. Like all you have to do is make the playoffs, right? So, um, yeah. I mean, and then Alabama, like it turns out that when you turn the ball over on the road in the SEC, that poor performances happen.
Yeah.
I mean, just like period, full stop. You turn the ball over in this league, you're going to have a higher likelihood of losing.
Yeah. 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 For real, man.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, that you cannot underscore that when you put yourself in a hole in this league that there's just not a whole lot of success that can happen. It makes it a lot harder to win, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It does give us great SEC Shores content, though. I don't know if you saw the Vanderbilt.
I did. I'm kind of tired of the hospital sequences here. I don't really understand what we're doing with the hospital situation. Although it is funny, like shout out to Dogs Forever. Mr. Daniel, I think he tweeted out like Alabama lost to a hospital.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It was good.
What a crazy weekend though. Like the Fighting Pitmans took down Tennessee, mighty Tennessee, and only held them to two second half touchdowns.
I did
Yeah,
horribly in coach's pick'em games. I went 1-4 this week in his pick'em games. I think the only one I got right was Ole Miss beating South Carolina. So
that's funny. Which, by the way, isn't Ole Miss like quietly putting together something?
I mean, they got a lot. They lost to Kentucky though, but yeah, I guess.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
No, man, it's
And
A&M because A&M's only loss
A&M is the
is
one. Yeah,
non-conference in Notre Dame. A&M is first place in the SEC right now, technically by conference
that's
record.
great.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
you go look at
That's
the
crazy.
conference standings. It looks kind of weird. While I mentioned Coach, I'll say you also extended your lead in the over/unders. So you went 5-3. I went 4-4. So you'll get to you get to keep deciding who goes first next next one. So
Yes.
appreciate the updates, Coach.
I get to design things, structure my play calls.
Exactly, exactly.
Um, how did I do in the pick'ems? I didn't even see.
You went 3-2. I went one and
Three and
four.
two. Okay.
So we're tied. We're tied on the season of the pickums. We're both at 11-10.
I couldn't remember if I explicitly called the Arkansas game as a trap game. I can't remember if I called that one.
I think that was the one you said was a trap game, and I think the main.
Or
But
Missouri,
I
maybe
think you didn't pick
Missouri.
it. You picked A&M in Florida both to win, and I picked UCF in Missouri. So that was where you got me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh man. That was great. Like I remember seeing that Alabama was down 14 nothing, but it was like, oh, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. And then
Yeah.
after our game ended, it was like, oh my, and then you look at the time that's left on the clock, and to to that point, like talking about these head coaches, like they're fans just like we are. Um, the laner got distracted in his press conference and was like, "How many timeouts does Alabama
Yeah.
have?"
That was amazing. That was funny. That was funny.
He's like, I'm sorry. This is like it's a historic event. We'll probably never see this again."
Yeah, yeah, that was nuts, dude. And then the Vanderbilt like stadium operations pulling out the Nick Saban clip and putting it on the jumbotron. Did you see that? Where he
Oh,
said
I
like,
saw it because I tweeted it out, and I feel like it's like I'm still getting like retweets on that thing right now.
uh, well, he's like the only place it's not hard to play in the SEC is Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Oh
that
man,
is hilarious.
that is hilarious.
Dude, all right, can we camp out there for a second because
Sure.
the ending of that game
Mm.
was 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 drunk. Like the ending of that game was just drunk. Like from start to finish, like Alabama had to stop. I- it's like my brain breaks. Like Alabama had to stop Vanderbilt to even have a shot to win the game. and Vanderbilt Kirby death marched them down the field
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
broke. I feel like Alabama broke right before our eyes because Malachi Moore, right? Malachi Moore, is
Yeah,
that?
you got it right. Yep, number 13.
Malachi Moore, number 13, like just had an epic meltdown. I didn't even realize how big of a meltdown he had until today when
Yeah.
someone sent a video of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like it is absolutely like mind-boggling how a senior leader, NFL like potential like the guy's supposed to be playing on Sundays, right? Like
Yeah.
you have a captain of the Alabama defense throwing his mouthpiece down the field, shooing off a substitution that's designed to come out and pull him off the field,
Yes.
and telling the coaching staff to go F themselves. And then not only that, but the cherry on top of it is that the refs set the ball and he literally snaked his way from a safety position to weasel his way into the into the line and then kick the ball away after the refs had set it.
That was absolutely wild.
I heard them say that, but by that point I had been like I was so far into laughing with Carter because Carter came in. Carter was like, "Dad, is Vanderbilt gonna win?" I'm like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Dude, that's not
It
that was
certainly looked like it. It
that
certainly
was
looked like
Lily. Lily was like all in that. She was like, "Dad, you don't understand. Alabama's gonna lose to Vanderbilt."
it.
She was all over it in the stadium. It was hilarious.
Dude, talk about riding a roller coaster if you're an Alabama fan. You go from the high of winning your Super Bowl of the season, which is the Georgia game, to losing to Vanderbilt. Like at
Did you?
that point, you're
Oh, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
I was just about to say, at that point, your speaking privileges on anything related to the football this season are revoked.
Right. And then, did you see Kirby's quote where he said something about like riding the wave of like if you ride the wave of emotion, like that can happen or something like that? Like he
I don't
basically took a
know.
shot at DeBoer and said something about like riding the wave of emotion.
Was it explicitly on a question about the Alabama game, or was it just like a general statement that he made that was
I
like
think it was about
that
that.
we've interpreted as that? Because
I maybe I'll have to do some research, but I feel like it was when he was talking about because people were like asking him about the fact that they lost, and he was like, "Look, I try to." It was one of those like I try to tell you guys that every game in this league is hard, and that kind of stuff. And then he went into the whole riding the wave of ups and downs. And then he said that like we try to stay even keel or something like that. I don't know. It was interesting. I could
yeah,
have it wrong. I'll go back and check, but I probably
I
won't.
mean that game got turned on its head because of a fluke interception
Yeah,
and a return.
yeah.
Our game got turned on its head because of a fluke couple of fluke passes to a 17-year-old. Um, it happens when you party naked in the SEC, right? Like
Oh, sorry,
that's
Carter.
that's the reality of this of the SEC. I mean, it's like welcome to the SEC, and I feel like that Texas and Oklahoma are just kind of like sitting on the sidelines watching this going on, and I actually think that it sets up nicely for us because you know they've largely been left unscathed for the most part for this, and they're just kind of like watching your brother and sister fighting kind of thing.
Hmm.
But eventually you get pulled into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man. Like I said, the top of the standings are not kind of like what you would think, I guess. So I'm gonna have to look at what all the schedules are and who plays who and all that kind of stuff. It could get interesting.
At one point this weekend, I decided I'll save it, but like, I mean, just for some giggles here, sorry, Carter. I'll just say that I think that we may want to look at and take a peek at the tiebreaker scenarios.
Mm, right, right. Yeah, yeah. It can come down to a coin flip. It's possible.
That's insane. If it comes down to a coin flip on some of these teams, that's gonna be.
Yeah, that's like the last thing. The stuff it is all written down. I can pull it up. Maybe we can. Maybe if we do a bye week episode next bye week, we can talk about that in there or something. I don't know.
There we go. There we go. I like that approach. I like that approach to. All right, let's see where we're at from the tiebreaker if the season were to end today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because there's still a lot of football left to be played.
Yeah,
The season is long. Season's long, it feels like.
it is long. I mean, there's an extra week because there's 2 bye weeks, and then you got the
Right.
long playoff. I mean, the stretch we're about to come up on is crazy. So we'll cross that bridge when we
Intense.
get there. But our schedule in particular is tough, man.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So we talked about Vanderbilt. Oh, I would be remiss if I did not make this comment, but I don't know what those kids were thinking. All I gotta say is that in my defense, I dropped the goalpost on a in the vicinity of campus.
Right.
I did not take it all the way downtown just to throw it in the river. That's all I'll
Right.
say about that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys, what are y'all doing? Why, like, and they'll have to tell their grandkids this, like, and then what'd you do with the goalposts? Oh, we threw it in the river.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw something about it. They were gonna try to find it and then like break it up and sell it off to pay for the fine or something like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they should have totally done something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but man, imagine your bachelorette party, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of jack wagons carrying a goalpost into the bar.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that are in Nashville for that were super confused as to what was going on in the city.
What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Major confusion.
Um, yeah, that's fun. And then I think Arkansas, which that part of the SEC short was pretty hilarious when the Vanderbilt fans
When they
come across the Arkansas fans.
Yeah. And then they did like the handshake meme, like it's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah, and Carl Weathers handshake. It was awesome.
Yes. Um, yeah, dude, did Sam Pittman save his job?
He may have. He may have.
Yeah,
I
fighting
mean,
Pittman's out.
yeah.
Selfishly, I was hoping that he would get fired and come over and help the offensive line at Georgia.
Come back. Come back. Uh,
Come back.
oh, that's funny.
I'm not a fan of Stacy right now. We're not on speaking terms right now.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, and then Florida figured it out against UCF, I think, right?
yeah. 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 They did. They did win it.
Yeah. But the dude, is Missouri awful or is A&M good? I can't figure it out.
All I know is that Missouri was number one in the Speakeasy Sports Ain't Played Nobody Index that they released. So shout out to Speakeasy Sports Show. I don't know, man. It's tough because like A&M year one with a new coach. Maybe like that and that Notre Dame game was what I mean, it was season opener. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm still kind of wait and see. Although like Wegman,
My
didn't they change quarterbacks? Because I don't think Wegman had been playing all year. So I don't know. We'll see.
my working theory is that Jimbo Fisher put together some good talent and didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So if you've got talent on the roster, because weren't they like the number one recruiting class in the country like a couple years ago? Like,
Yeah, but I think a lot of those guys transferred.
did they
I
all transfer?
I don't know that all of them. I said, but I think a lot of them.
I don't know.
They went to the
But
portal.
you just need an excuse to play that sound.
That's my favorite one.
Texas A&M blue chip ratio. That's what I wanted to see. Uh, I mean, they have an 80% blue chip ratio,
Okay.
um, which is higher than, yeah, I mean, it's higher than a lot of teams. Yeah, I mean, it's higher than Oregon.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Missouri already didn't have. I don't know. I mean, they're gonna have to go on like finish with standings kind of stuff to make the SEC championship game to have a playoff shot at this point because they don't have the strength of schedule to survive 2 losses, and they do have Alabama on the schedule. So like the kind of common thinking at the beginning of the season from Missouri was like, if you only lose to Alabama, maybe you still make the SEC championship, something like that. But they're gonna have to play those
Mhm.
guys. So it's not looking great for Missouri, I would say right now.
Yeah, so Georgia's sitting at 80% blue chip ratio. Texas A&M is at 79%.
Okay. Okay.
So Texas
Interesting.
A&M actually on paper has one, the fourth the fourth highest blue chip ratio in the country. So maybe that doesn't like maybe that shouldn't surprise us, but it does.
Okay. Yeah.
And they also lost to Notre Dame,
Right. Right.
who has a 67% blue chip ratio.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I'm a fan of chaos. Just throw a hand grenade into every other game but ours, please.
Yeah, I'm good with it now. Like in the past, I felt like in the 4 team playoff, there would be times where it's like, I don't want chaos because that's going to like throw things off and it could mess us up. Now it doesn't matter as much. So if chaos happens.
You're like let the chips fall where they may.
Right. Right. Now I'm like, whatever. We'll just see.
FTMF.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
speaking of, I feel like that we had a second half turnaround when when I changed clothes and put on my blackout attire. Which, if I had gone to this game,
Hmm.
I would have worn black out of spite.
Oof.
Um,
You would have died. It was so hot.
and that's a fair assessment. But I would have had shorts on, which it sounded like Hunter wore pants. I'm like, how do you wear pants in this game? I
Hunter
don't
did wear
understand.
pants. Hunter did wear pants. Yeah.
Even if they're
Um,
performance pants, I would have roasted.
which I will say that was another thing. Like we had 3/4 of the OG of the Kirby We Trust crew. Uh, there. So you definitely were missed, JP. Definitely were missed. With
I missed
Jon,
being
and
there.
John and Hunter were there. But
Yeah. I
I got to meet Hunter's cousin too. So that was fun.
that is fun. I saw him with the big hat on in the pictures. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I uh I was roasting myself and literally everyone else around everyone at the homecoming festivities for uh my 7-year-old. They had the homecoming thing for the junior Hoyas.
Okay.
Um so we were out there on a natural grass field and it was just like I mean, it was 11:30 in the
Mm,
morning, and we were all standing out there just like roasting. I was like, it's only gonna get hotter. This sucks. I was
yeah.
like, I'm kind of glad I'm not in Athens, but as the pictures started rolling in, I was very quickly like, should be in
uh,
Athens.
that,
Um,
that's all right.
but yeah, the junior Hoyas, the team that came the second grade Hoyas have had a tough season thus far.
Mm.
They've only scored one touchdown in the season, which was in this game.
Okay.
So they scored their first touchdown of the season thus far. I think they played like 5 or 6 games or something like that. But um, needless to say, we're not exactly there for the football.
Right.
So um, my daughter was she won the she won the spirit stick, which is like a their version of like the MVP of the game.
Nice.
Which I don't know that cheerleading is going to be her sport, but she's enjoying life with her friends. That's all I have to say about
There you
that.
go. Nothing wrong with
Um,
that. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, I think I have a picture of her frowning. I was like, Camden, can you smile for me? And she like was frowning because it was so
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we had that going on. My oldest had homecoming as well. Actually, Hillgrove's homecoming, but she had homecoming going on too. So there was a lot going on in the Powell household, and then Carter had baseball literally from sun up to sundown um, on Sunday, which he did okay. Team didn't do all that well, but it was also their first game like actually playing together. Well, first organized game playing together.
Yeah.
Um, but my Sundays will be for the next 4 weeks. I feel like are going to be absorbed by Carter's baseball.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That time of the year.
It is that time of the year.
Yeah.
Although it does look like it's about to start cooling off for the
I,
Bizarro dogs, which
I
I'm super excited about.
yeah, I was dying laughing when you texted me like a screenshot of the weather today. You're like, yes. Uh, cool down a little bit.
Super excited.
Get some actual fall weather going. That'll be nice.
Exactly.
That'll be nice.
Run the dang fall weather, Bobo.
Yeah, seriously, seriously. Oh, cool, man. Um, yeah, I guess
Trying
that's
to think
probably
if there's anything else. Trying to think if there's anything else. I wonder. I didn't see like. Well, I guess because it was at Vanderbilt, but like it would have been pretty awesome if that had been in Tuscaloosa. I wonder how many times they would have shown Nick Saban then.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I don't. I mean, he was in Cal, I guess, or whatever for that Miami Cal game. So
Yeah.
maybe he was back.
Um, all I gotta say is you reap what you sow, Bama fans. You reap what you sow.
Too funny. Well, yeah. I guess another homecoming in the books. Another Deep South's oldest rivalry in the books. Still think it was weird that Auburn was a homecoming opponent. Not a fan of that personally. I would rather not do that again. Hopefully the schedule doesn't fall that way in 2 years. Let's pick somebody else.
Yeah,
I don't like it, but whatever.
yeah. I mean, who? Yeah, I don't know who's in charge of such things,
I don't
but
know how that works. Yeah, I have no idea how that gets determined. But feels like Mississippi State would have been a better homecoming opponent. Just me. I don't know.
yeah, seriously, especially with the game time. Like the game time itself is going to be a much better situation.
Yeah, yeah. So who knows? But yeah,
Which, by the way, I'm still of the opinion that the 4 o'clock kickoff time frame is ideal.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you gonna go? Well, I
Yeah,
guess we'll talk about it
yeah.
on the
We got another episode yet to get this week.
on the Bizarro Dog preview. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
we'll turn the page, and I guess that I'll leave you dog fans with this sentiment. I heard a lot of folks talking about the Alabama game well after the Alabama game. We've done it as well here to a certain extent, but like I know that I was messaging Jim and it's like it feels like that everybody is still talking about the Alabama game, and we're literally about to kick off against one of our biggest rivals
yeah,
historically. Turn the page, dog fans.
yeah.
Our team is figuring things out, and we have one loss that that required 5 turnovers. It is what it is, but just move on. I think
Yeah,
we're gonna be fine.
yeah. I agree. Amen to that.
And go dogs.
Go dogs.